Woohoo! We are live with Agency 12. This is our afternoon class, and I am very excited to be here with one of my favorite teams of the semester, Agency 6. We have Evan, Josh, Kennedy, Jake, and Brandon. They've been on fire all semester long, and I have no doubt that they will bring it today with our final live show, Hashtags for Hope. I do want to send special thanks to this team as well as to our class who is joining on the live stream for the little adjustments and changing to our schedule that we've had at the last minute here. Also to Matilda for helping out last Wednesday and for, of course, being here. How were your golf tournaments? We missed her the last 2 weeks, right? You're lucky you get Matilda back.
I know. It feels like it's been so long since we were on live, but yeah, it went really well. I'm just happy to be back, and I feel like I get to come back to a really good topic, so I'm really, really excited.
That's awesome. Tell us who this is.
This is my cat. She's very needy, so she's just gonna hang out with us today.
She can talk. She's just gonna join in the conversation. You know,
it's sometimes she has a lot of opinions, so we'll see.
She does. If Matilda closes the door, you know, heaven help us, she will be very loud. So
yes.
It's her to be on the desk. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Again, this is our MC4326 Advanced Social Media and Analytics class. This is our final live show of the semester. Can you believe it? We're done. You must be excited for summer. I'm also a little bit sad that we're saying goodbye after today's class, but it's been a wonderful semester with all of you. And I'm just really excited for this last show to kind of have these conversations with you. People are joining today on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Twitch. If any of those are giving you trouble, feel free to switch over to another one. Say hi to us in the chat. It's always really nice to see where people are joining from, and it's lovely to have everyone joining today. I'm going to be passing the floor over to this team to kick off Hashtags for Hope. Very excited to hear your show, but also to join the conversation with Matilda.
Okay, so hey everyone, I'm Brandon, and it's such a pleasure to be doing Hashtags for Hope. We've been waiting, we've been dying to do this topic. It's an amazing topic. So I want to start off by first off hoping that everyone is ending their semester on a good note. And I want to open it up with a question. I want to know if everyone is already planning, what they're going to do after the semester. If you're going to, be working another job, going back home to visit family, or even going on vacation. I just wanted to open it up with that just to see what everybody's got planned.
I have no plans, but plans to have plans.
Yeah.
Definitely want to go on a vacation.
Yeah, I'm in kind of like the same boat. I mean, I don't have much of a summer break this year because I'm taking summer classes, but I'm just gonna try to go be outside as much as I can. I mean, it's nice. It's nice today. Who knows what's gonna happen after this is over, but yeah, I really don't have any plans. Just hopefully it'll be a nice couple weeks before school starts up again.
I'm a week out from vacation, so I'm so excited. I'm going to Finland next week, so I get to go home. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be
that's super cool.
Really nice break.
Matilda said, I'm flying really far to go do nothing. But I said, but you'll be doing nothing with family and friends. So that's kind of the point.
Literally, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so sounds good. Everybody, so like I said, we're super excited for this topic. So as we all know, right now, a lot of people, social media is known for, releasing bad content or, just bad things in general. That's kind of the gist that we're getting of it today. But after doing research and really diving into our topic, me and my team were able to find out that social media can also spread a whole bunch of positivity and do a lot of good for us just as well. So diving into Hashtags for Hope, we have Kennedy and Josh who will be presenting the articles for us. Then we have Jake closing us out. And then next I'm going to be passing to Evan for the hot topic.
All right, hi guys, I'm Evan. I'm going to be going over Hot Topics, which is recent news that relates to our Hashtags for Hope that pushes activism and real change in this world. So the first hot topic I wanted to go over was anti-AI backlash from creatives. These are creatives on social media that see people stealing their work through using AI. They're pushing for change with hashtags such as Stop AI Art, hashtag Human Made, and hashtag Human Creativity. This matters because AI is stealing people's artwork and kind of getting rid of original creativity. So a lot of people are mad and a lot of people want to push for change according to this AI art. So a lot of companies are stopping using it as a result of this backlash. And then the next hot topic I have is climate activism led by young people. A lot of young activists are pushing for climate change on social media or in order to organize events. A main person doing this is a young activist named Greta Thunberg, and she has organized hashtag Fridays for Future that helps push the word on social media for climate change through TikTok, X, and Instagram. So this is impactful because it helps bring awareness to climate change and helps people understand what it is. Another one is global movements spreading online. A lot of these movements I'm sure you guys have seen, such as hashtag Free Palestine, hashtag Black Lives Matter, and hashtag Save Ukraine. These platforms are giving a voice to people that don't really have a voice around here, but they are definitely bringing a lot of activism to social media. And these bring increased donations and global protests and are actually reforming policy as a result of these hashtags on social media, which is overall bringing a lot of good change and a lot of hashtags for hope. And then the last hot topic I have for you guys is therapy content on TikTok. A lot of professionals are going on TikTok to share their advice surrounding anxiety and depression and other mental health issues, especially for the younger Gen Z that don't have a lot of access to resources. These hashtags are helping spread advice on how to handle mental health and get help. And it's just overall bringing a lot of awareness to these topics where people wouldn't really be able to get help. And it's kind of creating a community where people can relate to each other. And this is all a result of social media. And I have one more hot topic, and it's about students calling out campus health, which I think relates to us heavily as we are all students of Texas State. A lot of people feel like they are not getting enough resources on campus for mental health. So there are a lot of hashtags like Students Speak Up and End the Stigma that are increasing universities to change their policy in order to provide us students and students around the world at these universities with more mental health resources in order to help them kind of handle their own mental health and get through college. So with all of these examples, I would like to ask you guys a question, and that question is going to be, do you think that social media is actually helping push change, or is it just making the conversation louder?
So I'd have to say both. And the reason I say both is because through social media, they're pushing the change. But since they're pushing the change through hashtags, through these movements, it's making a louder scene so everything gets noticed. So I believe, like I said, I believe it's both. So like due to the fact of the movement, it's making the conversations louder. So the movements are getting, more people tuning in about it, more people following it, more people joining in on it.
Yeah, and I just want to agree with that. There's like activism online kind of faces that whole issue with slacktivism a lot, where it's just like people talking about stuff and nothing really like getting done. But I do think that these hashtags are a really, really helpful tool for just like getting the word out there that there's like, especially with the student one, just like kind of making people realize that there's more people who are in your situation, just increasing that feeling of community. I think that's the biggest tool that internet activism kind of has.
Yeah, I have to agree with both of them. I think it adds a bit of fuel to the fire in a way. It may be like a little bit smaller of a scale, like it's just one person making a post on a hashtag, but that snowballs into a lot more notice on the wider movement. But I do think it is important with all of these situations to have a sense of awareness and be wary of mis and disinformation.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. Like everyone else has said multiple times, I think that hashtag activism is such a strong tool, especially nowadays since social media is such a big part of everybody's lives. So that when you use a hashtag to spark a movement or to join a movement, it is very impactful, whether you think it is or not. Like showing your support and being like aware of what you're doing is at what most people can ask for these days, because everything feels so small. So it's like the little things that you can do are going to help you like in the long run. So I think that it is helping for change. It is helping, and obviously also making it louder, which is helping in the long run. It's changing the bigger picture.
Yeah, and Holly and McKenna both left some pretty good comments. Yeah, that's the biggest issue. A lot of the times people will just join in on these activist movements because it's like what's popular right now, and they don't really care about what's going on. They just want to kind of participate in the trend a little bit. Even if they do care about what's going on, they're more focused about gaining off of the trend and less about having social change happen. But that's just, social media is a very it's very easy to get self-centered on there. So that's just an issue that kind of has to do with everything online. But it is a big problem with this topic.
I also liked
No, you go.
I also liked Holly's comment about how it's a good outlet for people to get help and advice and feel less alone, because I know me personally, I have done the same thing where I've gone on social media and I've looked up things and I'm like, okay, so I'm not alone in this. Like other people are also going through this. Like it's fine. It's going to be okay kind of thing. So I think that is a very like impactful part of it as well.
Matilda, what were you going to say when...
It's kind of related to what we were talking about earlier, but how like obviously the change is not happening on social media, but I think it's pushing people to like do more. Like at least for me, like the more I see a hashtag about like some like let's say protest or something, the more I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of want to be there. Like I can totally see that happening to people. Like just the mere exposure effect of seeing the hashtag and seeing the people doing things will motivate a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. No, sorry, you can go first.
No, you're good. I thought this one was interesting. Like I found myself confiding in more of those therapist-y talks on TikTok. And I wonder if it's also like the accessibility of it. And it is kind of like free. I mean, obviously no participation is free. We've talked about that a great deal this semester, but like it almost like broadens participation. What do you think about that? Especially with mental health. Like it's just one of those things that like might be too stigmatized to go and get help, but like you can get help in more like private ways.
Have we all seen Therapy Jeff on TikTok?
I see it on YouTube a lot. I don't see like the short videos of it, but I get a ton of those like self-help videos. I think they're great. I don't really see much wrong with them, but I do think they kind of add fuel to this, like kind of a lot of people in our generation are becoming obsessed with like perfecting everything about their lives, especially with the huge like looks maxing thing going on right now. People are kind of obsessed with optimizing every aspect of their life, and I think those therapy and self-help videos kind of being everywhere is just they're not inherently wrong, but I do think they make people overthink things a little bit, like more than they need to.
Is the pressure for perfection that seems to be pervading your generation and the ones below you, is that related to social media? Is it not, like from your own experiences?
I think it is almost completely related to social media. Just because, I mean, we all kind of have anxiety disorders now because of being on Instagram all the time. I got like my mental health got completely eroded during COVID because I was just on my phone all the time, and I think that's a pretty is a pretty universal experience. So yeah, I think it almost 100% has to do with social media.
Definitely. Like I agree. I feel like COVID was the downfall where everything shifted. After that, everything was strictly like it was so much stuff being produced on social media. It was almost like it was the norm for social media to affect us in that way. So like it has a lot to do.
Yeah, I think they call it poser or like clout culture. I think at a face value, that's like really representative of what you're talking about. And even if I guess you're like me or someone else, and you don't really care too much about that, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of see through that. Certain aspects of that, I feel like sometimes trickle down into everyday conversation, and it can even affect you at any level.
Yeah, I think I wanted to touch up on, I think Josh mentioned the looks maxing thing going on social media. And I have seen that increase in the last year. Definitely. There's a lot of looks maxers that are just injecting themselves with these, I guess, chemicals. And it's just, I guess, to make themselves look more perfect. And when a younger audience sees this, especially like Gen A and even Gen Z, they think that that's what they should be doing, and they think that's how they should live life, and that's the only way they'll look as good as their favorite influencers. Um, and I think definitely also a lot of these looks maxers make people really insecure and make people feel like they're not good enough, which also pushes kind of on social media just more depression, anxiety, and just insecurity overall. So I think it's overall a very negative thing, and I don't think they should be put in a place of influence. So yeah, that's what I think.
McKenna left a great comment. The subconscious comparison. I think that's crucial to this because I don't think, especially with the younger generations, I don't think that they even realize what they're doing and how harmful this behavior is. It's just we're seeing this over and over and over again, and we don't really have time to like process it on our own. So it's just gonna manifest itself in weird ways, and I'm kind of scared to see how the younger generations kind of deal with this landscape that they're growing up in.
Yeah, when I started using social media, I was probably around like middle school, and it was great. Like, I mean, as great as it could be for a middle schooler. I mean, not much I could do on there, but it was always like at middle school, like me and everyone else that I was like around would constantly think about our like perception and like what people thought of us. And, you know, it took away from that childhood aspect and that just like growing up aspect that kids deserve and kids need to like be self-proclaimed humans, I guess. So I think social media has like harmed that a lot. Like I think social media is 100% responsible for what they have, because if we didn't have social media until our brains were fully developed, then we wouldn't have these thoughts of, you know, self-deprecation or whatever, because you can still be feeling those thoughts to this day. Like those aren't just things that go away since you've told yourself over and over and over like that things are happening, you know. So social media is very harmful as much as it is positive.
So I do want to follow on off of what Kennedy just said. I do want to point out John's comment. He said, "Oh, absolutely." Related to social media, I've had it from such a young age, and I agree. Like having it since I was younger, it reflects a lot on how I look at everyday life, even everyday life situations. So yeah, social media has a very, very, very big impact.
I'm going to jump in here as the old human in the room and say, oh my goodness, I'm glad social media was not around when I was a kid. There is no evidence of anything I did or how awkward I was. And I saw this really interesting post that said like, young people are no longer allowed to be awkward. Like that, like social awkwardness is completely curated out of their social media presence. And like, I think there's kind of like a rite of passage of like having an awkward phase, but they're no longer allowed it. So I wonder what that does to childhood. And I'm wondering if anyone has any thoughts on this, like the void of awkwardness in the growing up stage now because of this highly curated and perfect social media presence.
So, from my standpoint, I'm gonna talk to it as, I'm gonna talk about it as like trying to become a creator. Like in this day and age, trying to become a creator was extremely hard. Everything I was posting had to be like looked at. I had to make sure everything was correct, because once I posted, any little thing can cause like a major discussion just cause. So it's like you literally have to be almost perfect to even be putting content out there. And it's like a lot of people in our generation, they want to do content, they want to post content, they want to be influencers, or they want to be creators. And it's very hard for them to really be themselves because there's a norm that everyone has to follow. So that's how I want to kind of.
And before other people jump in, Brandon has the credentials. Those are all of his TikTok creator awards behind him. So he knows what he's talking about, Matilda.
I was just gonna say, I think like we've talked about this before too, how we're like starting to crave that like authenticity again. And I think we're gonna like get to a point where we're craving that like awkwardness and just like that very like real and raw content rather than the perfect curated content. And I'm just like really curious because I feel like we might be right at the shift of that. And I'm like really excited to kind of see the shift happen and see the kind of content people are like wanting to start to consume again. I think we're in like a really cool time right now where we get to like witness this.
I think we're there. I've been calling it calibrated authenticity for the last 2 years, but I saw a marketing professional go online and they posted this like in the last 24 hours, and they said coached authenticity of celebrities. Like you can even see it with the celebrity engagements where they're not polished anymore. Like that polished demeanor is starting to go, and they are being coached to feel more authentic. And then, you know how I said, like, we kind of have this like AI slop in between polished and like what people are craving, which I think is authenticity. What they're saying is, and you can see this, like Apple put out an ad for a new product, but then they put out the ad on the ad so you could see it was done by humans. Like we want to know the backstory. We want to know that it wasn't generated by a machine. And so it's like there's the ad, and then there's the ad about the making of the ad. And I think that this is part of that like shift towards authenticity that we've been chatting about all semester.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think there's a rock band called Geese that I think is a great example of that, because they are huge right now amongst like young people, and their whole platform has been completely built off of like weaponizing their like their music. And it's completely original, and they have this marketing team. I can't remember the name of the marketing team that they've been working with, but it's all centered around advertising essentially like the lead singer's just like personality, like making videos about his like personal experiences and like clipping them and like throwing them everywhere online. So I think that's just like a great example of that. And I think it also kind of goes into Taylor's comment about what we can do about toxic online personas and looks maxing. And I think it's that. I think we just kind of need to kind of embrace our individuality more and weaponize our authenticity and kind of show that the real things that we're doing are much more interesting and are just like much better in general than these like those like completely fake people. That's kind of how I imagine a lot of those looks maxers.
You know how you were talking about perfection, like your generation is caught up on perfection. I think the next age is on imperfection. Like what we want to know is that you are human and a little flawed, because that makes you more relatable. And so I think that's part of I think that's interesting, that choice of words that you use, but I think it's like the movement towards imperfection. And Josh, can you throw that band in the handle so we can go check that out? Because that sounds like a perfect example.
And then also, I wanted to give another real life example. So, me and my team, we were hired out to just come in and see why a company was failing. And they had ads going, they had comments, they had the engagement. But the main thing was people didn't like the credibility because everything on the page was AI. The comments were AI generated, auto response. The DMs were auto response, and it was a whole lot of negative AI energy, and people just wanted to see the real things. So me and my team, all we had to do was go in, make real ads, let them know a human made the ads, real pictures, and then the sales increased like tremendously in 2 weeks, just removing AI out of the situation. So
Here. So the company is called Chaotic Neutral, and their whole their whole company is built off of using algorithms and like clip farming accounts, like paying them to upload videos and like use like different hashtags to get their like their clients like business out there. And I think that's just going to be more and more and more popular as the years go on. And I think it's great. I really see nothing wrong with that because it's like the antithesis of traditional marketing firms, which is just like kind of building this like fake thing to sell a product. But it's just like taking someone's real identity and their real life and their experiences and just like getting it out there and using social media and just like a very clever way to do that. It's very cool. It makes me excited. It gives me a little bit of hope.
I wonder if they're using hashtags like the Met Gala is happening today. And, like that's a big hashtag and it comes up once a year. But what's funny to me is, I was in the fashion industry. So what's funny to me is like what's actually emerging is people who are being hypercritical of it because of who's sponsoring it this year. And that kind of like corporate power, but it's the hashtag that's bringing the counter movement forward, which is really interesting. I'm wondering who's jumping in next. Are we doing any hashtag readings?
I think Evan is going to transition us into our next article reading.
Yes. So our next article is going to be Kennedy, I believe, and she's going to talk about a couple of movements, one involving the Me Too movement and how that has combated activism.
Yeah, so the article that I'm going to be focusing on today is the evolution of the hashtag #MeToo movement and all the vernacular practices that happen across different times and languages. So this article mainly focuses on 3 different languages and 3 different areas of the world. So we have Mandarin, German, and English, but for today's class and today's presentation, I'm going to be doing just like the English, focusing on the USA, so keeping it local. So the Me Too the Me Too movement started in 2006, and it was mainly used as an outlet for African American women who had experienced sexual misconduct to, share their stories and, get awareness out there for things that happen more regularly than people think and assume that they do. So this article focuses mainly on tweets that have came off of Twitter. So anything around there. The article focuses on 3 different types of vernacular practices. So like we've talked about in class, I'm going to explain them to you all here and then give examples of how those vernacular practices are used in the article and a real world example for all of those. So our first one is spotlighting. So spotlighting is just sharing information without personal disclosure, because that in itself is a different form of a vernacular practice. So this highlights certain parts of a movement. And in this article specifically, the USA shifted their Me Too movement from a awareness activism to more of a political activism and a political kind of like bloodbath, I want to say, to be honest, because it was taken way out of control and out of proportion, and people just took it and ran with it in completely different directions. So it was hijacked for ulterior motives and all that stuff. So an example of this is Alyssa Milano's initial tweet that went viral using the #MeToo hashtag. Used the vernacular practice spotlighting to highlight accusations of sexual violence and misconduct against high-profile individuals. So this kind of sparked discussion and awareness for all of this behind-the-scenes stuff that would happen, I guess. The next one is interconnectivity. So this is connecting the current social movement through hashtags to other timely events. And for #MeToo specifically, it was connecting these experiences to broader, more localized cultures. Specifically for this article, the US focused on its connections to different marginalized communities, such as African Americans, LGBTQ+, and all these different movements to how they relate to their struggles and how everyone is kind of just not being seen or heard. So another real world example of this one, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of this, but this was big. I know we were all pretty young when this happened, but I still remember it pretty vividly, was the Larry Nassar case. He was the US women's gymnastics doctor who was tried and convicted for sexual misconduct and harassment on hundreds of different gymnasts during their treatments. And even though this case happened after the #MeToo movement became viral, it kind of re-sparked a call to action for this movement, because obviously like the connections to this case and to everything that's happened with previous cases all just came together as one, and it was one big social movement online. So the hashtag really brought a lot of awareness to that case specifically. And then the last form of the vernacular practices is the meta discourse. And this is focusing on the bigger picture of the movement itself, or looking at the details that kind of make up the movement as a whole. So on this article specifically, it talks about the USA's, I don't want to say dwelling, that's not the word I'm looking for, but the dwelling on the negatives of the aftermaths of sexual misconduct and how the environments haven't changed. So it's just talking about how, although we had all of this awareness and these topics brought up, it was still not taken seriously. And it was the environments that had most of this happen had not been changed or addressed, and everything kind of just went under the radar. And examples of this are public or observations of shaming public figures such as celebrities or politicians. I know in more recent cases, it's been with Donald Trump and all of the noise over there, as well as statistical language and how quantifying of persuasiveness of sexual violence happens mainly towards women. So I would like to ask a question to the chat and to my group now about how does the publicness of a hashtag activism change the way we view privacy? And then I guess a follow-up to that would be, is there any form of privacy if you engage or involve yourself within hashtag activism?
Okay, so I'm gonna be all completely honest. I feel like privacy goes out the window once you're involved. The reason I say that is because through the hashtags, it can be spread to anywhere over the world. And if someone clicks that hashtag or read those comments, they see your story. They see that you're trying to push your story. And then that's when the privacy goes out the window and it's public now. I mean, a simple screenshot can keep it going on and on. So example I have for that, so I was scrolling on Instagram yesterday, and something randomly popped up in my feed about some doctors in Miami who were doing things to their patients, like while they were under or whatever. It was crazy. The comments, the reason why I say privacy is out the window, like in the comments, the stories about the same doctor was being told by like different individuals, and it went really deep. There was a lot of people joining in trying to help. So like I said, to tie this all back into hashtags for hope, like I feel like that's a perfect example because they used the hashtag and they were hoping, for enough publicity to get this out, like get this situation out. And then a lot of people helped them by contributing in the comments, telling their stories as well.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to go? Okay, I'll go. I think that If you are wanting to involve yourself and interject yourself within the hashtag activism, like whatever community it might be, whatever movement it might be for, then you are doing it for the purpose of putting it out there. You're doing it for like the goal to be seen and to get your word out there. So in a sense, like the privacy that you want, because it's obviously everybody that uses social media is not like the privacy is not there. But if you are a more private social media user, but you want to engage in a very public sphere, then that kind of line is blurred. So I don't think that if you involve yourself in activism, like through hashtags, that you necessarily have a form of privacy. I mean, your other stuff that you've posted previously, I mean, if you private that, I mean, there's ways to get around it, but overall, like, I don't think there's any form of privacy if you are a main leader.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I don't think it like using hashtags blurs the line. I think it's more just completely crossing over it, because I kind of think the whole point of it is publicizing your experience, especially with the Me Too movement, and kind of creating that sense of community around other people who have been through that experience. And where's the comment? Tessie kind of compared the way it like the hashtag trends spread as like a wildfire, and I think that's a perfect analogy to use for it, because I don't think a lot of people kind of completely understand all of the kind of consequences that could go into you publicizing your experiences like that, like all those negative effects that you were saying that were mentioned in the article. I think it's a terrible thing that those things happen, but it's just the reality of it, and it sucks. But I don't think people really always fully understand how like kind of scary it kind of is to put your experiences out there like that. But yeah, it is meant to be a public thing.
Before we move on, Jaden says hashtags are meant to be publicized. Privacy shouldn't be a concept when you're pushing for change on a situation. I mean, tough line though, right? Because we haven't talked about the potential harm to the people who engage in hashtag activism. Like there could be real threats leveled at people who engage in these kind of movements. So, I mean, maybe people are using pseudonyms or like fake accounts at times, but I think also there could be harm that comes from even things that are hopeful, because maybe not everyone agrees that hashtag is hopeful, right? And so it's such an interesting observation.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on this just before we transition to the next thing. So a lot of stuff that's pushed, like activism and stuff surrounding like the Me Too stuff, people post it on TikTok specifically, and I found that TikTok is a very bad platform to share kind of personal experiences, because someone will share like a very personal experience, and obviously it's public, anyone can see it, but then you'll just go in the comments and it will be a bunch of like gifs of like it's just like, you guys know iShowSpeed. It's just a bunch of just random stuff that doesn't relate, but they're just making it like a laughing matter. So I've just found that kind of posting nowadays is just kind of very dangerous, and people don't really seem to care as much as they used to. People have kind of made it a joke, and I think that's a really bad thing. So I feel like feel like they have less of a voice now just because of all these jokes that are going on in the comment sections.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with you, but at the same time, I think TikTok as a platform kind of allows you to go viral quicker and like blow out more and like reach more people. So like, I see that there's like that bad side too, but then there's the like benefit of like how many people you can reach if just one of your videos goes viral, for example.
I agree with that, but I also think that TikTok and especially Instagram, when it comes to social movements, they kind of decide what goes viral. There's a lot of censorship and a lot of like, they claim they don't shadow ban, but they do, and there's like evidence behind that. So even like if you are posting for like a 100% good cause, there's no way to know if it's actually going to go viral or do something impactful. And it could, more often than not, it's just going to lead to your personal life being exposed to those kind of weirdos that Evan was talking about.
That's very true. I actually have an example because you mentioned shadow banning. My TikTok has recently been a lot of these people who are like trying to fundraise for money, or they're going through treatment and they're trying to fundraise their money. And I always try to engage with them just because I know that that's going to get them money. But there's this specific one guy that I think this was like a few days ago, but he's been on my For You page kind of like constantly. And it's just like, watch me eat my dinner so I can pay for my cancer treatment kind of video. But very like just a few days ago, he got shadow banned, and he's like, I don't even know what shadow banning means. Like, I don't understand why this is happening. And like, he'd just gone into the Creator Rewards program. And I know we talked about this throughout the semester, but like, I see a lot of problems with TikTok, even though it has the benefit of kind of going viral.
Oh, Brandon, tell us about the Creator. No, I'm just joking. You don't have to right now.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can't. You were going to say something, and then you and me and Matilda kind of all interrupted each other.
Yeah, so I want to follow after Dr. Stewart and talk about the harm. So as we all know, our generation's cancel culture is very, very strong. And I just wanted to kind of talk about TikTok. So it was like it was a guy going viral a few weeks ago called Lyman Mike. So it was a guy out at the bar, and like a girl recorded him thinking like he was the perfect one for her friend. Turns out the guy had a wife, and the comments found the wife and him like this. He got canceled immediately. His page was flooded with comments. Like it was crazy. So anything that is released to the public is no longer private, and it can cause like cancel culture and plenty of harm really, really fast.
I just gotta say, I was like so into that drama. Like when I first saw it on my For You page, I was like, I gotta figure out who Mike and his wife are. Like I was scrolling, I was watching, I was so into it. It was just like, I mean, and then that just shows how fast, like Brandon said, how fast a hashtag can spread a video, because it is just insane. So I think after this chat, I'm gonna kind of transition us into our second article that is gonna be evaluated by Josh. And his article talks about digital spirituality in kind of like East Asian cultures and how it affected their lives.
Yeah, my article was about a trend in Chinese social media, Red Note. I'm sure you guys know. I think we've had a couple conversations about Red Note already. How Americans, because we're so addicted to TikTok, we all just kind of downloaded that when it was going to get banned, even though none of the videos are in English. We're all just addicted. But
understanding the language is highly overrated as long as you understand the format.
Yeah, it is. It's whatever, as long as we're scrolling. But our whole article kind of centers around digital spirituality, which is essentially this idea of taking what is originally like a traditional spiritual practice and then socializing it and like running it through all the algorithms of social media, and through all of that, like sparking a new conversation over the kind of implications of those traditional values. This article is specifically talking about a trend that it's called the Wish Me a Baby Boy trend, which is it's essentially women praying to each other. It's based on a traditional Taoist idea of just like taking the good luck from someone and using it for your own. The article goes very in depth into it, but it's essentially women praying to other women who have baby boys so they could get some of that luck to get their own baby boys, because there's a strong pressure in China to have male sons. It's significant in China because they have a strong control over spiritual practices in public. I know there's a small list of religions that are allowed to be practiced in public. So this whole idea of digital spirituality is interesting over there because they can't really control it that much online, especially through Red Note, because they're socialized and they're not completely based in China. So they have their own restrictions and rules that they can follow. So it's kind of quietly spreading this discussion about religion in that controlled environment, which is interesting in itself. But the real kind of bringing it back to this whole idea of hashtags for hope is because when the trend started getting popular, there was a lot of pushback from younger people on the social media platform, because that kind of push to have male sons is a harmful, it's a harmful thing for younger women. It's just it's this intense societal pressure that kind of, it doesn't really make much sense whenever you kind of think about it. So younger women started going onto this hashtag and they created their own trend on it called hashtag wish me infertility. So they just it's just like, I don't think they were actually wishing for infertility. They just wanted to kind of point out how dumb it is. But it kind of goes back to this idea of activism, because I mean, this discussion could not have even been like this conversation could not have happened before social media and like hashtags and this whole huge sense of community based around spiritual practices. And my main question that I was thinking about the whole time reading the article is, and I'm going to ask you guys this because it's interesting to think about, digital spirituality. It works mostly just because it provides this like big sense of community and emotional validation and just like this sense of being heard. And as AI starts to be involved in social media regularly, how is that going to affect the way digital spirituality like manifests itself? Is it going to like kind of just further push ourselves into like echo chambers, do you think? Just what do you guys think about that?
I think it'll be really interesting to see how people kind of surround themselves with their information. At least within religions, most of them have a form of text. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone goes back and checks what they see online about certain things with the actual text that they're reading, and whether or not AI over time will accumulate general information from that and maybe turn it into what you guys were calling slop, and maybe provide misinformation to people who may not be realizing it.
Yeah, I think I wanted to. Oop.
Oh no, I was just gonna kind of say like how, like if do you guys think AI will be able to successfully fulfill this need online of providing a community for people, even if it's only for one person, like a specific issue this one person is focusing? Do you think it will kind of provide that sense of community for that individual? That's kind of what, because I think it would. A lot of people have been using LLMs as like their therapist. And there's also has been a huge trend of people kind of using it as their like spiritual advisor.
I was going to say, I think there's going to be a whole swath of people who use this and a whole swath of people who say, how could anyone ever use this? And you're going to be on one side or the other. But I think the same people who are using it as their therapist, as their boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, we've even seen people using them with their deceased or past loved ones. They're called grief bots. And so, they train it off of all of their information from their grandfather or their father or their mother. And so I think people want to have a spiritual connection, and AI hallucinates and AI reinforces everything you want it to tell you. So I think it kind of like, it's going to play into that. And anyone who really like wants that validation is going to give it to them in certain ways. But like, I don't know, like, would it, like, would you talk to it like it was whoever you look up to, right? Like that, I don't know. I think it's going to be like, again, I think there's going to be a group of people who it does and a group of people who it doesn't. But I'm curious what everyone else thinks. Such a good question.
I think in this scenario, you could like see AI as like Jim Jones. Like he's the Jim Jones of like all these people that are talking to him. He's not like who they believe is their God or whoever they believe in, but he believes that he is like a ticket to get to that. So I think that and he's a Jim Jones, he can be a Jim Jones for any different like religional aspect that you can think of. Like he could have one follower this way and one follower that way and just have so many different like pathways to connections that can make it very scary for AI to be in charge of so many people's beliefs. And do I think like anytime soon that it'll be like a problem or something that we have to like really worry about? I don't think so, because I think that religions are so deep rooted in traditional values as they are, that I think that could be hard, but you have, radical opinions on everything. So who knows what could happen.
I'll say that echo chambers, that's really been the word of this semester. I feel like with every topic we can talk about it. And I can totally see like with your question, like it could totally happen that we get into these echo chambers and like, especially with AI, like it's such a yes person. Like it will just tell you exactly what you want to hear. So I can totally see that becoming an issue.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a smaller set of people, like potentially, where social media will like blow you into a particular corner. I think with these AI chatbots, it's going to be more localized. And so there's going to be people who want to have that engagement and people who are never, I mean, look at our social companionship social media lab, right? Like so many people were like, no. And then there was the odd person who was like, yeah, I'm digging this. Like I enjoy that type of companionship. So we're all going to have those kind of different experiences. But so I think yes to what Matilda said, but like maybe on like a different scope than we've seen.
And it seems like everyone in the comments kind of agrees that it's just going to further our kind of unwillingness to talk with each other and just believe what we already believe in. I think it kind of has that issue, but I also don't think it's entirely bad people having spiritual conversations with the chat bot, because spirituality is a very kind of personal thing once you think about it. And if people aren't thinking about those things on their own, but they are at least having some sort of conversation about that, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. And I think if no one else has anything else to say on this,
I would like to say something on this.
all right, okay, cool.
So I think with AI it's so individual, and with these chatbots, it's like, yes, it's ChatGPT. A lot of people use ChatGPT, but it's all individual, catered to one person. Like each person, there's like millions of people that use these, but it's all individual. I mean, I'm sure they share this like same information, but it's so you can tell AI like about yourself and it'll remember it forever nowadays. And so it'll basically tell you everything you want to hear, and it knows you perfectly from every single thing it's ever told you. So I think it's just interesting that how people will grow up with these AI chatbots, and I think they will be less willing to make real friends because these AIs are better friends to them than some of these real people. So I think it's just very interesting, and I think it's just kind of promoting less social skills and just more individuality within people. And yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Before we moved on, I wanted to highlight, I lost it. It was Stephanie's comment about how if AI should be used for a community, because I also, it's a bridge you have to walk on, because I think it can relate back to what Evan said at the beginning of our show about how the hashtag movement, it's like stop AI or stop AI creations. And when I think about AI for in a community, my mind instantly goes to like the artist community, like Evan was talking about. And I think that it can be very harmful because you have all these communities that are larger than these sub communities that are all about AI, that are using these hashtags about stop hashtag AI and all of that. So there's a whole broader movement, and then you have these one little people that are stuck in the middle because they're using AI to like foster their community, which if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I think they're gonna get outplayed by the people that are using these hashtags and getting their words out there and getting their thoughts and opinions about things like that out there. So.
And I think Thu left a great comment too, just saying that echo chambers have been around essentially since the internet has been around. I mean, echo chambers have been around for a long time, and AI is just kind of the next advancement in them. And I do, especially with the spiritual aspect, I do think it's mostly just about seeking validation in your feelings and just wanting to feel heard and feel like there's other people who believe the same things that you do. But I do think that AI will really increase this just I can't think of the word that I want to use right now, but it's on the end of my tongue. Just this whole everyone just having their own beliefs that are all kind of connected together. They're just like a little bit, it's things are just going to branch out and become very strange. And a lot of spiritual practices, especially online, are going to enter like a weird gray area. And for the most part, it's hard to even discern if that's going to be a good or a bad thing. I'm just curious to see where that goes. Spiritual practices already are such just like a personal thing. I don't know how big of a deal it really is going to be that the communal aspect would be going away a little bit. But for some people, especially people who regularly go to church still, I could see it becoming a big issue. But it's a very interesting thing to think about. And yeah, Amelia, AI was made to be responsive to the individual. Exactly. If AI is completely responsive to the individual, are we ever going to really have communal beliefs like we have had in the past before? Is that still going to be a thing in future societies? It's a strange thing to think about. I hadn't even begun thinking about that before I read this article, but it's very weird. And unless anyone else has, I think we're okay now. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Evan, earlier, but
I want to jump in really quick.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just gonna say, maybe since people are going to these chatbots and companionship stuff for like conversations and stuff, maybe that's where social media and hashtags are going to come in later to create that community again, and for people to kind of just share their thoughts and find people with the same like ideas and stuff when they want to get away from just talking to like one person. I don't know, maybe.
No, yeah, I haven't. I don't know why I hadn't thought about it like that. Yeah, because it's like kind of the whole point of this. But yeah, no, that totally is. That would be pretty great if that starts happening. Yeah, but I think we're going to bring it over to Brandon now, who's going to discuss our newsworthy example.
So first off, shout out Josh for that amazing question. It was so hard to stay mute, and shout out our classmates for amazing feedback. It was so hard to stay mute because I just didn't want to spoil this next topic. So for the newsworthy article, I want to talk about AI's impact on digital authenticity. So of course, we're going to talk about, like Jake just said, slop content. Oh my goodness. So even through hashtags, there's communities, there's people who look forward to being able to go to a hashtag or even a movement and, feel like they're within their community. But as of 2025, slop content has surged over 200%. And the AI fake content, inauthentic content is kind of ruining the communities. So by that I mean, for instance, like hashtags is pushing movements, but there's so much inauthentic content being pushed with those movements that people are going to smaller platforms like Facebook, They're making groups on X so they can still have that real life human connection feel with their communities. So yeah, like the rise of AI generated content just has like been a complete downfall for our generation in my eyes. It's pushing out the the regular communities, like I can be looking at a hashtag that's pushing something completely positive. Then I see an AI generated video pushing the complete opposite negative version of that positive that I clicked the hashtag to see. So like I definitely can understand why these people are moving to these smaller communities to still get that human like feel, because I'd probably honestly do the same, because it's getting very, very tiring scrolling through like just slop content. There's a bunch of it. I also wanted to talk about some of the hashtags that are being pushed fighting this particular movement that I just spoke about. So there's been hashtag no AI, hashtag human made, hashtag humans only, hashtag stop AI. Just movements like that creating their selves because of slop content. So now there's new hashtags being pushed out to help fight off this movement with AI. And I just think like that's very, very like insane that we even have to go through that. So the question I have for everyone today is, should platforms regulate or label AI content more strictly, or is it our responsibility as the users to know, hey, that's AI?
Here, I'll go first. I think it should be it should the platform should 100% have to like declare if it's an AI thing, but also it's a strange topic, because I think AI kind of, and especially AI content like that, kind of does belong on social media in kind of like an abstract way, because there's kind of no meaning behind a lot of it, that it can be kind of enjoyable to see those kinds of things online. Like on my Instagram, I see a lot of terrible AI videos, and they make me laugh so hard just because of how much they suck, you know? But I don't think a lot of people see it like that, and I think that there should be a label on it. But I mean, for me, it's just kind of like a personal, like I wouldn't want a humongous label over everything, because it kind of takes away from the experience of being on a social media platform. And I don't know, AI is just, it's such a weird thing online. It feels like it's kind of like destroying so many aspects of regular life, and then you go on social media and you see the things that people are using AI to make, and it just is like slop, you know? But yeah, I wonder if anyone else has anything to say about
Wait,
that.
before so Cameron has a great comment. Like I just feel like older people, they need the label because they will see something and like believe it and go with it because they think it's real. I just don't think they understand it the same way as we do currently, and it sucks. But for them and for their sake, I definitely think there should be some type of label, just so they can understand or know it's AI instead of real.
I think Instagram's been listening to my rants all semester long, because in the last 24 hours, creators announced that they are going to add a special label on profiles now for AI creators. Like that's the label. So if it's fully AI, there will be, I mean, I don't know how they're going to police this well, because they don't seem to be doing a great job to begin with. But aside from my like critical nature on the execution, they're at least trying. So there is officially a new label that they can put on them. I still think we still have issues with labeling, and I don't think this is going to solve all the problems that we've been talking about. But yeah, they're moving in that direction.
Yeah, I think I wanted. Oh, sorry, Kennedy. I think I wanted to talk about how I think at this point AI has gone past the point of no return. I think there's no way to stop it, and I think even if we label stuff, people are still going to find a way to get around it. And I just think like as this generation grows up, I feel like we're the ones that care about AI so much because it's so recent. But I feel like as people grow up that are born, recently, they're not even gonna like know the difference between AI and real because AI is progressing at a very worrying rate. I mean, 4 years ago, you could definitely tell it's AI. People couldn't even have faces, and now there's people have made movies with AI that's like full 4K. It's crazy.
And the actors have all their fingers and limbs. Like, it's just wild how we progress.
Yeah, so I just think there's no way to stop it. And I think even if these companies label it, I think people are eventually not going to care. And I think eventually we're not even going to be able to detect stuff as AI. So I think it's gotten out of control, and I don't think there's any way to stop it. And I think people can be against it, but I think eventually we'll just all embrace it, unfortunately.
And I think it goes back to, we've talked about labeling like in previous shows about how ads and stuff on social media, like they need to be labeled, but there's no really any regulations. Like nobody's like looking after it. So even if like platforms are saying like, oh, you need to put labels on this, like who's really looking after these creators for their like AI label, and like who's really holding them accountable? At least nobody yet.
Yeah, and Evan, like he was saying, people are going to find their own way around these things. People are tricky, and so are the people who own these social media platforms. Like they're also making money off of these AI like accounts and all these videos and stuff. So like why would they really want to regulate that? Like unless the only thing that's would be pushing them to kind of label AI videos is the ethical implications. But I mean, in the history of social media, the people who own these companies have not really cared about things like that. So I think it should be less up to the companies to label the AI videos, and I don't think it should be, but I think it will. Just more people will kind of have that almost like instinctual understanding, like of being able to tell if something is AI or not. Just because there's always going to be those little tells, like in things, like when they like talk, it's just kind of like a little bit inhuman. It's things like that, and I don't know how well AI is going to get in the next few years. No one really knows. But I don't really see things like subtle things like that really going away. And I think as things start to get better, those little imperfections that the AI will never be able to fix will start to show themselves more.
I love Josh's optimism here. But I think over time, I'm not saying in a year, 2 years, 3 years, Josh, I think over time, it's going to become very difficult to tell. And to go back to what Evan said, like we've spoken a lot this semester about how sort of like the normalization and banalization of technology becomes so embedded in our everyday lives that we don't even know the time before. Like how many of you are like attached to this object? How many of you are on social media? We've heard and we've talked about it in class about how Disney recently let go of all of their visual illustrators. So this next generation is going to grow up with entirely AI illustrations. Like if you've never known a human drawn illustration, like I'm with Evan. Like in 20 years from now, is there going to be that like, oh, this is what a human movie or illustration felt like, or a human voice? Because you may not even have that reality to compare it to. And if my kids are any example of this, if I try to put on movies from my past, they will watch them, but they always complain about the quality or like the hair or the clothes or whatever, right? Like it's like there's like a disconnect. It feels nostalgic in and of itself. So like I could see a world in which like the human hand becomes like this nostalgia as opposed to the base of comparison.
Sorry. I'll just say this really quick. I agree with that, but I also kind of think we need to follow the money a little bit. AI is I don't think it's really going to be that big of an issue in the entertainment world because we're already seeing like AI movie studios are not going to be able to make very much money off of these movies. Like they can't run for Academy Awards anymore. I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
have seen
that was really smart. I was
That-
like, good
yeah,
for you, Academy
So
Award.
Disney fired all of their artists, but now they won't be able to get any Academy Awards. So they're just going to hire them all back so they can start making money again. Like, and people are also just going to get like you were saying, that nostalgia is an extremely powerful emotion. And once it gets to the point where the majority of people have a nostalgia for the way things once were, like original movies and like art and music and all that kind of stuff is just gonna it's gonna be like a renaissance again. I feel like is what's gonna happen with
Point taken. People are going out of their way to buy the iPods, and Apple doesn't make them anymore. So, point taken. Well, did anyone else want to jump in?
So I kind of just wanted to highlight Carson's comment just because it's like literally straight to the point. Like a lot of people, they're scrolling. They do not want to have to think and really sit there. Is this AI or is it not? And speaking into the future, like before a movie comes on, like I want to know if it's AI. Like, or before it comes out, I gotta know so like I know what I'm going into. You know, it's like so like I'm with Carson on it. Like they should label it so we don't have to overthink or like like overly process it and see if it's real. And relating this back, earlier, the hashtag label AI is being pushed with the movements as well, and it's just like it's getting to the point where it's like I think they're gonna start even on TikTok, like if the creators using AI or AI like just made the post or help make the post, I think that it'll be like it's gonna start to get like listed like as a requirement.
I want to relate this to hashtags really quick. So as we've talked about throughout the semester, me and Dr. Stewart, we've looked at some like AI influencers and creators on Instagram. And what I find interesting is like sometimes they're like very clear about labeling themselves as AI. Will say in their profile and stuff like that. But sometimes they're also like just like buried in like a flood of hashtags at the bottom. It's like a bunch of hashtags, and then one of them is like hashtag AI influencer or whatever. So then it's kind of like it's labeled, but you've really got to look for it. Or they use it as like a hashtag just to kind of like have it there, maybe for their own conscience or something. But then like you can't really tell, like it's just the hashtag, and a bunch of people don't read all the way to the bottom of the captions anyway.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I get all of these, like, I won't lie, like, I get AI stuff on my feed all the time, as much as I would rather not. And I wish that AI things were labeled. I mean, on TikTok, they're getting a little better, I guess, at labeling what is AI generated versus what's not. But I think that if I want to figure out if the video is AI or not, they shouldn't have like 50 irrelevant hashtags that has nothing to do with the video at all. They should just put like one or two. And then I think it would come across. Like the hashtags that I see on AI videos are just like completely like not in the descriptions as well. Like the descriptions and hashtags are like completely off topic. It's just crazy.
Gray left a great comment. I completely agree with that. I think the government, if the government starts to kind of change its direction a little bit, I do think that AI regulation will be a huge issue, and especially on social media platforms like that. I mean, the issue of disinformation that could arise from AI being this popular in the political sphere, it cannot be ignored. And I think once it gets to the point, I think it will have to get to the point where something terrible will happen related to AI before some like change starts to happen in the government. But like I do agree with that labeling will be a big thing in a few years.
I know you said like something terrible needs to happen before they start to label, but I know we just talked about deep fakes a few shows ago. I feel like something pretty terrible is already happening and nothing is being done about it, which I think is crazy.
Well,
Or they can come after you.
also
After everything you said.
in the US right now, the US government is using AI a lot. So they're not going to do anything about it because they're using it a lot, and also a lot of the high ranking people are making a lot of money off of it. So they're not really going to do anything about it yet, but something is going to change their mind. I mean, probably, hopefully.
And before I transition into Jake, I just want to touch on this really one last time because it's happening in our generation and it's gonna follow like the years to come. It's getting so bad, like you guys said, like the hashtags they're putting the trending most popular hashtags on random videos, and it's like me as a person, if I want to follow a movement, I'm going to look at the hashtag, I'm going to support the other creators who are also following that movement. But then it's like, wow, now there's slop content in my face with a random hashtag relating to this movement, and it has nothing to do with the movement at all.
Okie dokie. With that last topic from Brandon, leads us perfectly into our conclusion. To wrap up the show, I just want to thank all of you guys for your amazing comments and contributions to the show. It's been really fun reading through all of them. I want you guys to remember the importance that small things such as just a single post under a hashtag has towards a larger goal, whether that's for some social injustice like Black Lives Matter or the Me Too movement, as Kennedy mentioned, or even something as nuanced as digital spirituality, as Josh talked about with Wish Me a Baby Boy, and just things that pop up on Red Note and other things like that. As Evan mentioned, there can be even smaller things, still big issues, but in terms of our show, smaller topics we covered, such as Free Palestine and Save Ukraine, that can provide attention and aid to those in current active conflicts. But also, as Braden mentioned, AI's authenticity when it comes to social posts and hashtags in that sphere, and certain ways hashtags can be somewhat hijacked. Our call to action for you is just to remember your value among larger things, and to participate in some of these movements if they're valuable for you, or maybe friends and family. And we want to close this off with a hashtag of our own, hashtag understand your worth.
I have another one, hashtag believe in yourself. Never give up, and if you have a dream, chase that dream, please.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Round of applause for Agency 12. What a great show. We ended on such a high note. Fabulous job to you. I just enjoyed this conversation so immensely, and I was trying to keep my mouth closed as much as I could, but I couldn't because it was such a great topic and so many great perspectives and ideas coming through. So thank you so much for closing us down with just an outstanding show. Thank you to the audience for being amazing. I mean, you see the comments here, and this has been all semester long. So thank you for just, always bringing those amazing comments and participating and engaging with these shows. Matilda, how did they do?
Such a good job. Thank you for being so prepared. I loved your questions. And you can tell it in the audience engagement. We got a lot of stuff coming in the chats, and I think you picked great comments from them as well. Really, really good job. I love being part of this, and like I said, it's one of my favorite topics. So I was really glad to be part of it.
Thank you, Matilda. Yeah, outstanding job. And to everyone this semester, it has been such a pleasure to get to know you. I always really love teaching this class, and your class made it just, amazing to do so. I loved watching you turn in new work and start working with your teams, and every social media show was outstanding. So thank you so much for that. And to Matilda for being the super marker who has returned everything at lightning pace this semester. It's just been such a pleasure to work with you and all of the students in the class this semester. Please do keep in touch. We will miss you. I wish we were on Zoom so I could tell you that I'm going to miss you, and do well. Go on to do great things, but stay in touch. And we look forward to hearing about all the amazing things you do in your futures. But thank you to Agency 12 for an amazing semester. Bye, everyone.